See, my mom would slap me if I made a quote like this.
What is weakness? Weakness normally has a poor connotation to it. However, in this quote, John Wayne from She Wore a Yellow Ribbon says, "Never apologize and never explain. It's a sign of weakness." I personally strongly disagree with this quote, and I want to give a couple examples where this quote absolutely does not apply. First, when you're trying to teach someone something, it's oftentimes necessary to explain what's going on. If you're trying to teach someone how to drive, and you're on the freeway with them, and they're like, "Oh, how do I make a lane change?" You're like, "Oh, just do it yourself, you're fine." You generally need to explain to them what's going on, how to hit the little button, look over your shoulder, and then make the turn. The next thing I want to talk about is another example I want to talk about is when you're teaching someone how to, like a little kid, how to do math for the first time. A lot of times they really don't know what they're doing, so you have to pass on the information to them. And another thing I want to talk about is that when he said never apologize and never explain, it's a sign of weakness. I disagree because I think that being able to accept your faults, like if you did something wrong, you being able to realize that you did something wrong and accept that, I think that's actually a sign of strength instead of weakness. So today I covered situations where I think that it's not necessarily that the quote does not apply. And I like to say again that I disagree when John Wayne says never apologize and never explain. It's a sign of weakness.
I have a theory. People with pretty smiles tend to smile a lot.
What made you come up with that?
Huh?
What made you come up with that theory?
I don't want to put it on the spot, but she got like them dimples, you know, the deep dimples. So she smiled like her, you know. Pretty smile. Actually gonna be smiling out there.
All right, you ask a rhetorical question as the attention device. It works pretty well. I thought you had a good transition to what the topic was. You're very clear with what the thesis is going to be. The preview is a little bit thin, but we know generally where you're going. I wasn't quite sure how your first example applied. It was interesting. It's a little underdeveloped, and I guess that ultimately you're connecting it to the notion of explanation, but it seems to me like you are applying the concept of explanation in a different context than the way in which the quote is doing it. So I think that takes you in a kind of a different direction, which is okay, except that your opening point really seems to be more about what the quote actually said. The presentation issues, this time the body orientation is toward the other side of the room, so it's a little bit distracting on that in that direction. You do have some nervous hand stroking going on as you're moving from one point to the next. Your voice is okay. Everything was pretty smooth. Your audience contact is okay, although sometimes I got the feeling your facial expressions just seem like you're not engaged. You're mostly thinking to yourself instead of thinking about the subject and trying to reflect what you think about that subject. It's like you're internalizing things that are going on there. And your exit was pretty clear. All right, thank you.